Am I the asshole for asking him not to slam the weights? Me, M33, and my wife go to our apartment gym together pretty regularly. We usually use one side of the cable machine with a bench, and we're totally fine if someone else uses the other side. The other morning, this guy started using the empty side. He had AirPods in, probably with noise canceling on. After every set, he would just let go of the cable, letting the weights slam down loudly and the handles fly up. It was really loud. If I were across the gym, maybe I could have ignored it, but he was right next to me. After about 5 more sets, I finally said, "Excuse me, can you not slam the weight?" I actually meant to say something more polite like, "Hey, do you mind setting the weight down gently?" But it came out a bit harsher than I intended. He had mixed emotion on his face, finished one more quiet set, and then left the gym. Now I'm wondering if I was being an asshole. He was almost done anyway, but maybe I came off too direct and made him uncomfortable. He's regular, so we'll probably see each other again, and I don't want things to be awkward. Am I the asshole for asking him not to slam the weights? Too long did not read. Guy at my gym kept slamming weights. I asked him to stop, he left. Now I feel like I've made an enemy. Not the asshole. Just letting the weights slam back repeatedly surely can't be good for the equipment. It sounds like either the dude is trying to lift more than he should, or is just an inconsiderate ass. Either way, sounds like he sucks. Not the asshole. It's known practice to not slam the weights. Some noise when you lower the weights is acceptable as the plates are metal, but slamming is a big no-no. Not the asshole. Just letting go of the handle can damage the equipment. Break weight plates and derail cables off of the pulleys. Not the asshole. Not dropping/slamming weights is gym etiquette 101. It's bad for the equipment, bad for the floor, and it's a FKN safety hazard, not to mention disturbing other users, which, being startled in the middle of a high-intensity rep, is not a good thing. Dude needed to be called on it. You did nothing wrong. There's a reason responsible gyms straight up boot people for that kind of behavior, usually after appropriate warnings. Not the asshole. It's fine for weights to clang a little, but people should not be letting things just slam. Beyond the noise, it can damage the equipment and create a safety hazard. Not the asshole. If he could control the weight during the set, he doesn't have to let it slam for his final rep. Am I the asshole for not letting my friend work from my home? For context, I'm F, in my 30s, and my friend, M, is the same age. We're located in Jamaica, and because of the recent hurricane, our community has no electricity. I work remotely, so I invested in a solar system due to the electricity issues before the hurricane. My friend also works remotely, but is unable to do so because there is no electricity. He has a generator, but he thought it would be better/cheaper to work from my home. I advised him I can't accommodate him long-term, as my home isn't large, and I'm a single mother. He said that was fine. The first day he came, he was drinking our water. I told him to bring his own water, as it's somewhat short at this time. Then he used the toilet without flushing. I had to point to the bucket that is next to the toilet to flush it. No running water due to the hurricane. The next day it was overcast, and the panels were not pulling as much power. I told him this. He proceeded to charge all his devices, multiple, and used the microwave sigh. I didn't complain. Today, Wednesday, I realized that the meat in my freezer was soft because he plugged it out to plug in his devices. My food could have been ruined. I don't plan on buying any meat for the next couple of months, as I'm very cautious about people selling spoiled meat. I didn't curse or say anything rude. I didn't even shout. I advised him that Friday is the last day. He cannot come back here to work. He was on the phone telling someone he doesn't know what he's going to do, and he's been sulking and hardly talking to me. AITA for telling him, he can't work here? He's being so disrespectful of you and your property and situation. Even after you ask him and explain reasons nicely, he does what he wants. Not the asshole. Don't let him back. Edited typo. He unplugged your freezer? Without talking to you about it. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You're a single mom, and he was willingly using you and your family's scarce resources instead of his own. He purposefully jeopardized your food, a resource I'm sure is not exactly easy to come by at the moment, and very valuable to keep in case of emergencies like the situation you're in, while knowing that your family needed to depend on the electricity, especially with it being lower than usually. He is selfish and rude. Not the asshole. I'm so sorry you are having to deal with the aftermath of both Melissa and this AH. Protect yourself and your children from this selfish, oblivious AH. He unplugged your freezer? He's not be respectful or grateful. He's a leech. Get him out ASAP. Not the asshole. He has a generator. He just doesn't want to pay for fuel. Instead, he'd prefer to mooch off you. Am I the asshole for wanting my house and peace back after letting my MIL stay temporarily? I honestly can't tell if my feelings are completely valid or if it's just the postpartum hormones, but I need to vent and get this off my chest. Weary face. I had my baby on September 9th, and a few weeks before that, my husband's mom's lease was up. She didn't have the money to renew it, so we told her she could stay with us temporarily. In my mind, I figured she'd stay maybe a month, just enough time to save up for a down payment on a new place. Well, 2 days after we told her she could move in, she lost her job. So instead of just being here occasionally, she's been here 24/7 ever since. It took her over a month to finally get a new job, which she's supposed to start Monday. In the time she's been here, she's done the dishes maybe 3 times. She leaves her dishes in the sink for me, helps herself to our food, and complains about little things around the house. She's also had issues with alcohol in the past, and I've noticed she's been drinking again. When she first moved in, I felt bad because she didn't have food or money, but now that she somehow has money for alcohol, I'm honestly starting to regret being so generous. We told her she could help herself to food, but I'm starting to wish we hadn't said that because last night I went to make shrimp pasta and realized she'd eaten all the shrimp, loudly crying face. It sounds small, but it was such a letdown after a long day. The other night, we'd been gone all day, and I just wanted to come home, relax, and watch our show, but she was planted right in the middle of the couch watching her own show. It's like we don't even have our own space anymore. I've told my husband that now that she's working again, he should ask her what kind of timeline she has for moving out. But his response is always, I don't know how to say that without sounding rude, like we don't want her here. I care about her, I really do, but I'm starting to go crazy. I just want my home back. My space back. My peace back. Not the asshole, but you have a husband problem, not a MIL problem. Mom, you need to contribute to the groceries and utilities. Mom, let Opie and the baby have the couch. Mom, you need to do your dishes and clean up any spills. Etc. You're 2 months postpartum and doing dishes for your unemployed MIL? Taff is wrong with your husband? Not the asshole. You have a newborn baby to care for and have been recovering from childbirth, which takes a minimum 6 weeks, and that's just the initial period. If nothing else, do this for your kid. She is not your kid, and maybe you need to remind your husband of that. As for it sounding like she's not wanted there, that's exactly the case, which you are absolutely within your rights to feel. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I don't know how to say that without sounding rude, like we don't want her here. But you don't want her there. If he has any sympathy for you whatsoever, neither does he. And there's nothing rude about needing your life back. He should not ask her what kind of timeline she has for moving out. He should tell her when she's going. If he's such a dutiful son, he could help her find a place and help her get moved in. Not the asshole, you're the new mom, and you deserve to have your house back. You and your hubby need to get on the same page. He needs to stop worrying about being rude and just tell his mom, gently but firmly, that the temporary stay is ending now that she has her new job. Give her a definite move-out date, like 3 or 4 weeks away. You gave her a place to stay, and now it's time to reclaim your space and your peace. So your husband doesn't want to upset his mother, but is fine letting his postpartum wife feel uncomfortable in your own home when you are already dealing with a lot. He needs to recheck his priorities, and until then he can cook and tidy up after her. Am I the asshole for not letting my homeless friend stay at my parents' house? I have an old friend from high school. I'll name her Sarah. Sarah and I were briefly friends when we were 16. Over the course of 17 years, we messaged each other no more than 10 times. Recently, she reached out to me and asked for my parents' number because she had a legal question about copywriting an idea she has. My parents are attorneys. Months later, she showed up at my parents' house unannounced. She told my parents she has nowhere to go and wanted to stay the night. My dad doesn't remember her, and essentially, she's a stranger. She was having a mental breakdown and claimed she took a bus from Texas to Illinois, and her plan was to go to Iowa to see her mom. She gave my parents her mom's number. I called and the woman doesn't know Sarah. She lied. Also, I'm not sure she's telling the truth because why stop in Illinois? She used to live here, but still doesn't add up. Originally, My mom offered to put her up in a hotel for one night, but I told her to avoid doing that out of fear that she could hurt herself. My mom took her to the police where a social worker evaluated her and recommended taking her to the hospital. She refused. She also refused going to a shelter. I convinced my mom to give her some money for food, bus ticket, clothes, etc. My mom gave her $160. Sarah was very upset with me for interfering. She blocked me on Facebook, even though she claimed to not have a phone. I feel terrible because it was cold and not sure if my suggestions were ethical. I'm concerned she is going to come back to my parents, and if she does, I'm unsure what to do. Am I the asshole for having my parents turn her away? Edit. Sarah never reached out to me first. She randomly showed up at my parents'. I live an hour away from my parents and offered to come to their house, but they rejected my offer because they were already at the police station. Not the asshole if someone is really in trouble, and they refuse your offerings of help because they fall short of what they want or prefer. That's not your problem and honestly suspicious behavior. Reading this, I wouldn't be surprised if she was hoping to rob your parents for drug money or something. I mean, an acquaintance from high school remembers that your parents are both lawyers and presumably have money, but refuse any help that doesn't involve staying in their house is pretty suspicious and doesn't seem to me as someone who is just seeking a place to crash for an evening. Yikes. This movie does not end well. Both you and your parents need to stay far away from Sarah. Not the asshole, she's a grown woman, so harsh, but she gotta take care of herself, and you barely even know her, and you have no idea about her situation. She was offered help and she refused. Your mom did all she could. Your parents don't run a charity. Not the asshole sounds like she's got to get her life together, but is trying to take advantage of old acquaintances. I would be concerned about letting her around the family house. Sounds like she isn't trustworthy either. Honestly, that sort of behavior is disturbing and indicative that she needs a level of help that none of you are equipped to provide. You did the right thing. Trust your intuition. Not the asshole. Her story is a scam. You offered her help, for social services involved, and tried to do what was right.